everyone, it's me, Jahan, and I'm going to show you step by step how I hand dyed my Zara jumpsuit using hibiscus flowers. You will need 1 pound of dried hibiscus flowers, 2 plastic containers or buckets, a wooden spoon or plastic fork, 6 to 10 cups of boiling water, 1 cup of salt, and a strainer. So this is the original jumpsuit here, and as you can see, it's all white. And I ordered it offline, and the seller didn't have my size and the color that I wanted. So I said I'll just order white and hand dye it myself. This is 1 pound of dried hibiscus flowers, and it's also called sorrel. And in some Hispanic grocery stores, most Hispanic grocery stores, it's called jamaica. But it's really all the same thing, and it's the same product, and will give you pretty much the exact same results. So we're going to put our dried hibiscus flowers into the first bucket or container. So this is our flowers in the container. Then you're going to pour your hot water in with your flowers. So you want to make sure the water is boiling hot. So this is 6 cups of water mixed in with my flowers. Now you're going to take your wooden spoon or your plastic fork or whatever kitchen item you have that works for you, and stir and seep the flowers into the water for about 10 minutes. And this is just to get all the dye from the flowers. Let the heat soak in and remove the pigment from the flowers. So you want to do this step for about 10 minutes. And I'm using a plastic fork here. I'm just steeping and pushing them down, stirring it with the fork. So now you want to take your strainer and remove your flowers from the dye bath. So this is our dye water from dye bath without the flowers. So now we're going to add in our 1 cup of salt. And I chose salt because it was more convenient. It was something I had laying around. This step can also be substituted. If you don't want to use salt, you can use alum, citric acid, or cream of tartar. And what that is going to do basically is going to serve as a mordant, which means it's going to help fixate the dye from the flowers in the dye bath into the fabric. And you want the dye to stick very well and become very bright and vibrant. However, if you decide to use the citric acid or the cream of tartar or alum, the measurement is not going to be 1 cup. You're going to use 1 tablespoon for every pound of fabric. So if the garment weighs 2 pounds, you're going to use 2 tablespoons. If it weighs 4 pounds, you're going to use 4 tablespoons. So you have to know the exact weight of your garment. So it's easier for me to just measure 1 cup of salt. So I'm going to pour in my 1 cup of salt into the dye bath. And next we're going to stir it for 1 minute. So now we're going to strain the dye a second time using our strainer again, and we're going to pour it into the larger container. And this is only to make sure, just in case there were any small pieces of flower petals or residue from the salt or anything. So we just want to strain it one more time and also pour it into the second bucket. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and put our garment in. And you want to make sure the garment is completely covered and submerged into the dye bath. So when I first put my garment into the dye, I noticed that it wasn't enough water covering the whole garment. So I had to go back and make a separate batch of dye bath. And luckily I had this hibiscus tea laying around, which I love to drink. So I used 10 of these tea bags along with 4 more cups of boiling hot water. So I steeped that for a few minutes and I poured that over top of the garment because I miscalculated how much water I was going to need. So that's a step you want to make sure when you make the first dye bath that it's enough water to cover the whole garment so you won't have to go back and make some more. So I added in 4 more cups of water, which made a total of 10 cups of water. And this is a step that I didn't show. Um, I ended up having to go back and put some heavy rocks over top of it because all the fabric wasn't submerged into the water. It was some pieces sticking up, so I had to put something heavy to weigh it to push it all the way down into the dye. So you want to make sure that whichever method you use, rocks or whatever you need to do, just to make sure that it's pushed all the way down. So after that, you're going to let the garment soak for 6 to 12 hours. Now, I let mine soak for only 6 hours because I didn't want the color to take very, very dark, and I didn't want it to be a deep, dark color. I want it to be light and soft and pastel. So I didn't want the dye to take too long. That's why I didn't let it sit overnight. But most of the time when people use natural dyes, they let it sit 12 hours overnight. So this is the garment 6 hours later. And I rinsed it in cold water. And you definitely want to let this air dry. So I let it dry. And this is the garment before I steamed it. So it is wrinkled. And I even added a little pop of color at the bottom just so it could pop a little extra harder. This is the final Zara jumpsuit. And I'm completely satisfied with the results. And it came out exactly how I wanted it. This soft pink blush color. It's not too dark. It's soft pastel color that I wanted. If you would like to try some natural dyeing on your own, you can use spinach for green, ground turmeric for yellow, onion skins for orange, avocado skins for peach, instant coffee for tan, beet juice for pink, red cabbage for purple, and black beans for blue. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.